right?
Yeah,
How's your writing going?
it's going pretty good.
What are you writing about?
Most of the time I've been writing like with the prompts, but like, I know I'm kind of weird. I've been going like off the prompts, but then I kind of like expand, like
So you start with the prompts
start
and you
with
take
it,
it in a
yeah.
new direction.
I
That's
don't
a
end up
really great
talking about
idea.
it.
That's
I don't
great.
end up talking about the prompt at all. Like the one about how our parents met. I like went into depth more about like them, not like how they met, but like before they met, like what they were like and stuff. And then like eventually I got to like how they met.
Does that stuff fascinate you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
So what was your dad like? Because we know a little bit about, your mom being
Yeah.
a popular girl.
My dad grew up, my dad's dad left him when they were really little. And there's my dad, and then he has 3 brothers, 2 younger, 1 older. And his older brother, or no, 2 older, 1 younger. One of his older brothers became mentally ill when he saw his grandma get hit by a bus. He like became like mentally ill. Yeah, and he was like never the same like since. He recently passed away from cancer, but so I like kind of like talked about how like that really like affected him, and then they moved from Greece to Ohio, and then to like a big like Greek community.
Did they get
in
hit?
Ohio.
Did your grandma get hit in Greece or
In Ohio. It was like not my grandma, his grandma, so my
Yeah.
great grandma. And then when my dad was like 13ish, my grandma sent them back to Greece like by themselves, and like didn't know what they were doing or anything. So like I don't know, my dad's childhood is really like messed up, not messed up, but like very like unfortunate, different from what you would hear like my mom and my dad, like polar opposites of childhood. But my mom grew up in Texas. My mom was
when
a
did she
swimmer.
move here?
Freshman year.
Really?
Yes, freshman year she moved here. She lived in Plano, Texas, and she went to Ferris State.
Was she like a sorority queen down
Nope.
there too?
Mm-mm.
Was she a late bloomer? Did she come into her own when she got here?
She was very different in Plano. She said in Plano she like had like her like 3 friends and that was it. Here she started out, I don't know if you like know this whole story, but she started out here with like the burnouts, we like to call them, and they kind of like drugged her and she got suspended from Z Home because drinking on school property. They like found her blacked out in like what used to be the trophy room, now the pool room, or where the pool is. And so then since then, once sophomore year came around, she like, that's when you knew her probably. She totally changed.
Yeah.
She came in with populars, and then all of her sisters were here, and like, well, one of her sisters. And then my dad went to a small high school in Ohio, and he was like in like the jocks. He went to Michigan State. Yeah.
So how do you have this all chronicled at home? How do you know all of this stuff?
My parents, I'm like very interested in like their past, especially my dad's. My dad's childhood was so like rough that there's always like a new story for him to tell me. So like, I know I find it very interesting, and my parents find like interest in like telling me, like they like telling me about their past and like their childhood stories and like comparing it to mine and things like that. So I know they like talking about it, and so I just kind of have to shut up and listen. I don't really have a choice. I learn a couple things here and there. So.
It sounds like your mom probably has a whole bunch of pictures.
Yeah, a ton of them. She
Sounds
shows
like
me her
your-
yearbooks all the time.
It sounds like your dad not so much.
Not at all. He doesn't have any of his like. My mom like has like a whole drawer of like all of her yearbooks and everything like that. My dad doesn't at all. I've seen like my mom's like senior pictures and like her class photos still on the wall here. When I graduate, my picture will knock hers off. But
That's hilarious.
yeah. But my dad, I've only seen like an elementary picture of my dad. Other than that, I don't really see any pictures of him besides like him in college. I see a lot of
Do you
on
have
Facebook.
do you have any of his family pictures, like your great-grandma?
No. He doesn't like to reminisce on his past. He's more of a like look ahead, future kind of person. My mom's more of like a reminisce in the past, like look back on the past and like learn from it kind of person. And my dad does not like to look at the past.
Seems to make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, given their past,
Yeah.
that's how they would do that.
Yeah. I'm kind of like in between. I like to look at both sides, but I like to reminisce in the past a lot because I just moved here in like 6th grade. And so like I like to look back and like when I used to live in Troy because I want to go back. I miss it a lot. It's a lot different than here. A lot different. But
Did you ever think about interviewing your folks on tape and
Yeah.
recording it? Do you
I
have those?
I have before, but that was when I was little, not like little, but like middle school, so they weren't like open to like telling me all these things that I now know. They kind of like tell me on like random basis, like on like car rides or something that'll like relate to the situation. Like we were talking about like how we take a big spring break every year because this is like the only trip that we like get to go out for like a long time, and how we make it like above and beyond. And my dad was like, yeah, like like before, like once I moved to Ohio, we never left Ohio. Like it was like I've never seen a beach before until I was until our honeymoon, and like I don't know all this stuff. It's like very interesting. Like, and then like one day he told me like everything about his past, like the ups, the downs, the bads, the goods, everything. And I was just like appalled that like my dad, who like does so well, like was at that state, I guess. So like I had videotaped him before, but like they don't like tell me everything that like I already know like on tape in case like I hold them to it, or I don't know what the reason is, but they don't like being on tape.
Oh, they don't like the tape?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
My mom would. I've never done it with my mom because my mom is just so easygoing that she like wouldn't care. My dad probably wouldn't care either. He would just care if like we showed it to like the whole class, but like I wouldn't show it to my whole class.
No,
So.
I wasn't thinking for the whole class. What I'm thinking of, is it worthwhile for you to have these memories for your family and for your kids and for your brothers and sisters and for their kids that are sort of stored away so that at some point in the past, at some point, maybe like at a Christmas or something like that, you can, at your leisure, review them, watch them, learn about your family. Would you want to do that?
I've like thought about that before and how like cool that would be, kind of like a time capsule type thing.
Yeah.
But like I've always thought like that'd be so cool, like, cause like what if, God forbid, something happened to my parents and like my kids or like my brother's kids, my sister's kids like didn't get to meet them. Like I would want them to know like what they're like and like how much like they care. You know what I mean? Like how like their past could affect my future, like all that kind of good stuff. But then I keep thinking like with the new technology, like what if my parents did that with their parents, but it was on like a cassette tape? Like we don't have cassettes anymore. Like there would be no way to watch it. You know what I mean? It's like hard to find those things. So like smartphones are not going to be anything new when my kids start getting in, if that makes sense.
Could you put them in a private YouTube account?
I probably could.
And that way, only your family can get at them?
Yeah.
And they're always on the cloud then?
Yeah.
So you could do that?
Something like that, videotape it, put it on a disc, because people that had cassettes probably said the same thing, but they're probably not, discs aren't going to go away unless the whole world goes to like Bluetooth or something, but I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah.
So.
You could, if you wanted to use your time here in class, doing that kind of stuff, like, when you're at home, you do your work at home, an hour a day, you interview for an hour a day, and that would be your class time.
Kind of like not a time capsule, like
I
a
like
journal
time
type
classes.
thing.
Yeah,
Like every day,
I
like
like
something
that.
new, like a new story. Like kind of get my mom and my dad's like 30 minutes on each or something.
The other thing that you, or one day separate, one day together, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that you can do is like begin to arrange the pictures of everybody.
Oh yeah.
And arrange them in sort of a timeline that tells a story where you actually write captions underneath it and little kinds of things, identify. So you're archiving your family and letting everybody know what's going on and that kind of stuff, right? Would you be interested in doing that?
I think like family trees, like that whole kind of thing, like, and like, I just think that like I've looked through like my grandma's old like photo albums, like her at prom, like that kind of thing. Like, I just think it's the cool thing of how like times have changed like drastically, like insanely. Like, their prom to our prom is whoa.
So one of the things that I've done in the past is, you know who the Illiches are?
Though.
Illiches?
Mhm.
Little Caesars, have you ever heard of
Oh,
Little
yeah,
Caesars?
yeah, yeah.
They own Little Caesars, so I've done that with them.
Oh, yeah.
I wrote a book for them, and I did their pictures, and I put their pictures together, and I did all of that kind of stuff, in a like a 15-minute video of, you know, all the pictures
Right.
of the story and all that kind of stuff. And I would be really, really comfortable if you wanted to do that with your family.
I think it'd be interesting because polar opposites, and how they're two completely different people, how but they still have managed to be married for 20 years.
Mhm. And then, you know, later on, if there's time at the end, you could start talking to your brother and your sister
Yeah.
and getting their take on things.
My brother's, I wrote about my brother one of the first days we were in here, and about, it was like how he's like changed or whatever, and I didn't realize how much he changed until I was writing it. Cause like how
Cool.
one car accident like affected his whole entire life. It was like insane.
Did it make him grow up or something? Or?
He went to Brother Rice, and like before like football, he was a varsity football player
He was
4
good 'cause
years.
he went to Brother
He was very
Rice.
good, yeah. And before football practice, they were like going to like I don't know get food somewhere, and they like hit a telephone pole. Like it was black ice and hit a telephone pole, and my brother had his like chair like leaned back, and the paramedic said that if his chair wasn't leaned back, he would have died.
Cool.
It's like hearing that, I feel like that like really, and my it just so happened that like completely coincidental that my grandpa was like right there when it happened, like at the stoplight when it happened, and like saw like my brother get out. Well, my brother's leg was pinned like in between the chair and the door, and he said like that could have been a different body part, like an artery, something could have happened there, and like he would have died. And I think that hearing that, it really made him like, and I said that like made him like live his life more, I guess. He's 25, he's like a police officer of Birmingham, and I know he's like doing really well for himself. He lives on his own, everything like that, and he went to Purdue. I know he's a very well put together kid, but I feel like that like changed him drastically, where like my sister and I haven't had like an instant like that to like kind of like see our life like change like that drastically. I don't know, but I feel like with my sister going to college, I feel like that's kind of helped her out a lot. She'll be the first one in my family in a long time to graduate from college. My dad, my mom, my brother, no one graduated, but I know they're all doing really well for themselves, so it doesn't matter. But
So what you're going to do then is spend the next couple of weeks just playing with family ideas like this, looking through photos, maybe doing some interviews and all of that kind of stuff.
so just like follow my own muse for a while.
Mhm. And when it comes to posting things in the hand-in file, just write down what you did that day. If you didn't write, if you did interviews, just say,
Okay.
oh, this is what I did. Okay.
Okay.
Just so I know what's going on.
Okay.
Is that cool?
So like overall, like by the end of the trimester, like can I like maybe not a video, maybe like I was saying I've always wanted to put like a scrap